Hello, so I am gonna talk about plants today. I'm always talking about plants. Y'all are constantly asking me questions about plants. So I'm going to not give you a plant tour, but it is gonna be a plant tour. I'm gonna be taking out all of my plants, the ones that are easily accessible, so most of them. You're gonna see most of my plants today. And I'm just gonna talk just a little bit about them and tell you their names if they have some. Some of them I'm still working on names, and I apologize if you hear noise in the background. So let's just start with the plants that are close to me. So right here, as you can see, this is Cora Lee. She's usually featured in a lot of my videos. I'm trying to go and shake that leaf. Shake that leaf. Go and shake that leaf. Hey, shake that leaf. Go and shake that leaf. Work it and right, left, oh, right, oh, left, oh. Okay, I just really have to hype up my plants, and I like talking to them and being close to them. Am I a crazy plant lady? I really feel like you should mind a business that pays you. This is a Monstera, and Monstera is like means monster in Espanol that I know of. But I think what people call it is Delicioso Monstera. But I really like this plant, and throughout this video I'm just going to be telling you about stuff just off my mind, not anything I looked up, because I am very much amateur plant lady, but I try my best. So some issues that I have with, I didn't want to say, but some issues that I have with, you know, is that there are some leaves that's really out here giving us bow vibes and just bowing down. And I get that I'm the queen, but just, it's the bowing for me. Like, can you just stand up with the rest of your brethren? Like, I just don't get. This one over here has really been struggling. Let's bring you around. This one has really been struggling, you know, since the incident. So just to not be too long-winded in this video, what happened was this plant actually is a piece of a plant that belongs to my auntie Cora, and her name is actually Cora Lee. So that's why this plant is named after her. But in transition on a 8-hour bus from where she lived to where I live, this leaf said, you know what, I'ma head out. And it's been heading out ever since, but still holding on, but it's just doing the lean, and I don't know how to bring it back. But this is, you know, what I have. So I have 2 Monsteras, and I'll show you the other one later. But I just wanted to show you this one, and hopefully I can do a video about, you know, plant care and plant tips and all those things later. But I just wanted to show you, this is Cora Lee. Alright, so this is, I'm gonna put the scientific name in the description box below, mainly because I am having a hard time pronouncing it and spelling it. So this is a plant that I call WC, and look at that. Isn't that a beautiful plant? I mean, check it out. Beautiful plant. So she actually was in another pot. She was in a terracotta pot, and that pot was really not giving what it was supposed to give. So I upgraded her into this pot, and I'm so happy to say that she's doing so much better in this pot, and she's actually very viney. So I took a lot of the vines that was on the side, and I actually put them on top. And the leaves are very delicate in a plant like this. You also have to rotate it like a little bit every day, and give it a little shake also, so that you can keep the stems as strong as possible, because they are very fragile and you want to be very careful with these plants. Ooh. Oh my god. So here we are. I mixed 2 Crotons. That's a crouton plant. This is a bushfire crouton. So different types of croutons in one. So there was a time where this whole plant was covered in this type of crouton. I remember you. You will never be forgotten. I remember you. but you know, life happened, and I just put these two in there. So I hope that they, you know, commingle and get their lives together. But you know, here we are. I haven't decided if this plant is being watered correctly, but for the most part it is. Now I know you probably saw this mold. It's really not cute, and sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times in terracotta plants, I mean terracotta planters, it will get some mold around it, which is like gross, but it's not going to kill your plant and you're going to be fine. Look, I am not a medical person or a doctor or any type of physician, so definitely contact your local or primary physician to see if you would be okay. But I have been okay, but that don't mean that you would be okay. I just wanted to say that. This is one of my tiny ones. It's a baby Bella palm tree. I don't know how tall it's gonna get. We gotta do some pruning later. Gotta cut off some dead leaves. It's important to cut off dead leaves because you don't want to be wasting energy and resources to dead leaves that could be going to more healthy leaves. So that is one of my tips that I'm going to give you free of charge, of course. But yeah, so I really love this plant. I got this plant in the winter at Aldi's. It was the only plant there and I just couldn't leave it. Addiction. I know, but I just wanted to show you my baby Bella palm. So I just called this plant Bella, and I called the crouton that we talked about Crudy. Are those really creative? No, there are other plants that I have like more creative names with, but I was just like, yo Bella, what up? No relation to Twilight. So this is my plant. It is a Maranta, or praying Maranta, and it's probably given me like the most grief of like any other plant I have, mainly because like I'm not really sure what I'm doing wrong. I think it's humidity. I think I'm not giving it enough humidity, which is why I'm so happy that I'm building a greenhouse, and I can't wait to show y'all that. Hopefully I should show y'all that this summer, or sooner, it depends. But as you can see, it got a lot of dust on it. So is that a reason too? Because I was told, I don't know if I'm supposed to wipe the leaves, but I haven't. But this plant is really out here just, it's green, but it's not really doing what it was supposed to give. So I worry about it in that regard. My plant also has some mold in the soil, which can happen, especially in my house. It's some issues. So I usually just will spray it with this mold concoction that I made, or I'll put some cinnamon on the soil when I'm watering. So she don't need to be watered soon. All the plants that I'm showing you today have already been watered and taken care of for the most part. There's some pruning that needs to happen, but yeah. So this is a plant I'm really struggling with, and hope that the greenhouse that I'm gonna make is gonna really like get her together. So I call this one Palmy. All right, so I'm just gonna bring her close so you can see her. So this is Peace, and Peace is a peace lily, and as you can see, spring is coming. I don't know if you can see in there, there's like a little white piece. Hold on, let me try to show you. Can you see that? Like a little white piece there. So we're gonna get, you know, a flower here soon, which I'm excited about. This is one of the biggest plants that I own. As you can see, it's quite big. It was gifted to me to my supervisor, so shout out to her. And this is the most temperamental plant that I own, because Peace really don't be caring. Like, Peace really be living her life and be making me feel like she is watered, and jokes on me, she's not. So what's the truth, really? So that is pretty much where I'm at. And you can tell she's watered now, but once those leaves start hanging, they're already starting to hang a little bit, and I just watered it the other day. 1 day later. It always just need water. I mean, just very needy. So, but I love you, even though you're needy. I love her. And this is Peace. This is also a peace lily. One of the hardest plants for me to get to because it's like have a little knot that's tied up to put it, like hang it. As you can see, it has some yellow leaves. Accidentally overwatered it, but it happens sometimes. But for the most part, this is a pretty healthy plant. When I first got this plant had 3 leaves and a wish. A wish! Can you believe it? So I really got her together. I know, as Snoop Dogg said, I want to thank me. Amen. So I really felt like without me, you're nothing. Without me, you're nothing. Who's gonna water you, boo? No, I'm just kidding. I like her. I really do. Because she's just low maintenance. Like my other peace lily, I be out here struggling, just trying to make sure she has water. This one, you know, just really be hanging out. Like she don't need water at the rate in which the other one did, and I'm wondering it's because the other one is bigger. Also, the way that I potted the plants are different. So this plant, as you can see, don't have a hole in the bottom. So I put some rocks in the bottom and some other things to allow for drainage of water. So maybe that is why this plant don't need a lot of water. But the other one most definitely does. Okay. Alright, y'all. So this is Author. Author is pretty big, as we can see, right? You can see. So a while ago, I was on the internet and I told a friend like, hey, I really like these plants, and I didn't know what they were. And this plant is called a Ficus Lyrata. It's a scientific name, but the common known name is a fiddle leaf fig. And this plant is the most, how do I say it? It takes more time to have a fiddle leaf fig. And I say that because there is a lot that needs to happen when having a fiddle leaf fig and trying to grow them. So when I first had this plant, it was about this big. So I will say from probably here, where I'm touching my hand down here, as you can see my fingers, to here, these are all new leaves since being in my possession. So the plant wasn't that big, and it was definitely a trial and error. So what's really important about a fiddle leaf fig is that you are rotating it, you're wiping off the leaves as much as you can. I used to wipe them off every day, but found that I didn't need to do that. But I try to do it at least a couple times a week. I have specific fertilizer for this plant, which you really need to get yourself some fiddle leaf fig fertilizer. Don't just be out here watering your plant without the fertilizer. Even like throughout the year, I would say, just go ahead and live. So that is, and this plant don't like to be moved, because if it's like moved around, and it's very like queen, so it don't like to be moved. So if you move it around, you might get some brown spots, you know, some leaves might fall off. I'm also finding that leaves falling off the bottom is quite common. I'm not really sure why that's happening, but when I watch other videos or talk to other people who have fiddle leaf figs, the bottom leaves tend to go ahead and peace out. But this is the tallest plant that I have, and I just wanted to show y'all this. It's also very heavy, so you know I care about y'all if I went and pulled it out, because let me tell you, Arthur, that's his name, is heavy. So let me pick up Arthur and bring him back. So I want to show you guys this plant. It's I forget the scientific name from it, but it's an arrowhead plant. And I'm gonna be honest, I have just been treating this plant like a pothos, and it has been surviving. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. Hold on. Yeah, so it's been surviving, and I think it's very beautiful. Like, look at the veins on this plant. Beautiful. Just so gorgeous. Like, how can you deny something as beautiful as that? Hopefully it zooms out so you can see it. Oh my god, check it out. Just wonderful. So I really love this plant and what it does, and it's just really growing slowly, but it's not really giving me any problems. So I really like this plant. And for a while I couldn't think of a name, But I was trying to tell like my roommate, like, hey, you know, like you can name this plant, and she never did. So now the plant is her name, Emily. Okay, so just get into that, right? Okay, so this is another what? Ficus Lyrata fiddle leaf fig. So this is a shorter version of the big author that I showed you, and this plant actually was really small when I got it. Like, it was not even big enough for the pot, and now I don't think I've picked up this plant in months, and now I'm looking at it and I'm like, you said the glow up, sis. So you're really out here growing up. So another like tip when you have a fiddle leaf fig is to shake the trunk to kind of remind it that the wind is coming. But it's, you know what I mean? So just shake it a bit. But yeah, this is my second fiddle leaf fig. I actually want another fiddle leaf fig. I'm like obsessed with them now. And this one is doing great, and I haven't had much problems with it in comparison to the other. So let me tell you why. So Arthur was born and raised in a nursery with prime light and was just really out here living their best. Alex was raised back alley, swamp. No, I'm just kidding. Alex was raised in Target underneath the light. The light of the store, that is. So already grew up in harsh, just really not the best lighting, and because of that it's just so resilient. Like, it won't be as temperamental to the changes. I put this plant in like 4 or 5 different locations since I've had it. Not a brown leaf in sight. And I often like neglect it, but when I say neglect, not like neglect, but I often forget to water it, which is good for this plant because you never want to overwater a Ficus Lyrata or the leaves will be brown and it will die. So don't be overwatering them. But this plant can handle more changes than the other one that like grew up in a similar environment as if it was just outside and thriving, you know. And this one grew up in Target, which is also why I bought it, because I was like, you chilling in Target, I gotta take you up out of there. I gotta take you up out of there. So this is Alex. So a lot of times for some of my plants, they have certain names because I do like to heal from my, you know, history with my plants. It's very important for me to be with the soil and talk to them and things like that. So this is one of my plants that don't have a name, but I just wanted you to know that when I bring them up. So this plant, I thought it had a name, but it hasn't. So if you have a name that you like to give this plant, definitely let me know. I like to name them all, or them all to have a name, but this plant doesn't have one. And what I love most about this plant is that I actually propagated it from another plant, and it only had like 3 or 4 leaves, and then the span of about a couple months it's really out here growing. It's growing, and I can't wait because it's a vining plant, so it's just gonna be like vines everywhere, which I truly appreciate. Oh, this leaf came back to life. Okay, so that's pretty dope. So that, and this plant is a pothos or pothos. I say pothos, but people be like pothos. It's a those, and that's on period. Okay, moving on. This is gonna be a longer video than I thought it was gonna be. Moving on. So this is my other Monstera. Delicioso Monstera, and this one is doing pretty well. The leaves is really coming in. As you can see, I have these bars on them, and that's just to keep them upright because they really be trying to do a full gangster lean, and we can't because then the leaves break. I don't know, like the stem breaks. I don't know how a stem broke one time. I have no idea how it happened, but it happens. So this plant is called Reparations, Rep for short. On Instagram, I can't even remember the handle, but there is on Instagram there is a queer black person who talks about reparations through plants, and they're pretty much like drop the addy. So drop the address for those who don't know what Addy is. So I went on there and I was like, hey, you know, I love plants and I'm black, and it's pretty much for, not pretty much for, exclusively for black people around the US to receive plants as a form of reparations. So I was really excited about this. So I went on, you know, put my name and told this one person, hey, I would love a Monstera, and they sent this Monstera to me, and it only had like 3 or 4 leaves, and now look at reparations is really out here giving us what? Reparations. So I'm really loving this plant, and I called it reparations because of the story. So I'm just gonna stand up and talk about this plant. So this is a Marginata green bush. So I have never really dealt with this plant. I think I need to find a different light source for this plant because I have one leaf that is turning yellow, but I had a small version of this plant in my office, and then, you know, life happened. So I am just trying again with a bigger plant and just trying to see how it is. I'm also trying to be careful not to have it too close to my other plants, because if it has like bugs and stuff, it'll get everywhere, and I've definitely done that before, and I don't want that to happen again. So that is this plant. And this is Spikey, named after my nephew named this plant. This is a Santaveria, I think is the scientific name, but a snake plant known to everyone else. And these are my favorite snake plants because of the yellow outing. Beautiful. I mean, check that out. That's a pretty plant if I ever seen one. Yeah, so I really like this plant. I don't water often because they don't need that. They don't need that at all. One day though, I'm going to separate this plant into 3 smaller plants. I'm just not there yet, but when I replanted it, I could have just separated into 3 different plants. And I don't know why I didn't do that, but it can easily be done. So one day I'm gonna do that actually. But anyway, this is Spidey. Okay, so speaking of a plant that also don't have a name, so I just recently potted this plant. It had a bunch of other, you know, little, I don't know, roots like this. It comes from a much bigger aloe, and had a bunch of babies, and I separated the babies into 3 different pots, and this is one of the pots, and I don't have a name for it, but it is a cute pot. So if you want to give me a name for this one, let me know as well. All right, again, this is Palmy. I know we talked earlier about another plant named Palmy. Mistakes were made. I accidentally named this plant Palmy. So this is Palmy 0.2, whatever. 2 of my plants have the same name. So I actually share custody with this plant with my roommate, and I say I share custody because I bought this plant back to life so many times. So this plant is really resilient and out here living their best. I love this plant so much. It is a Majesty palm, and it's just really out here thriving and constantly, as you can see here, I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to get it close. As you can see, constantly popping out little babies. So I really appreciate this plant, and it also has been freshly repotted. So you can also see a little bit of the cinnamon that I put on the soil. So I showed you WC earlier. This is how WC should look. Very healthy. And I took some pieces of WC, which is right here, and I put them here. Now let me give you a frame of reference here. This is WC Baby. You see how beautiful and vibrant those colors are? You see that? Now look at this one. It's not giving what it's supposed to give. I know, but we're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on it. But this is a smaller version. Yes, if y'all trying to comment saying you need to repot it, I know it just grew. These grow so fast. Like it was literally just 3 or 4 roots I put in here like 2 months ago. So they grow so fast. So I need to get on that. And this is my Asparagus Fern, and I love this plant. I love most of my plants because most of them are air purifiers. So I really love this plant. and it has a new one coming in. Hold up, let me show you the new one. That is the new one right here. So I'm really excited, and I put this little cute, you know, stake in there so they can, you know, just remain upright and, you know, whatnot. But I love this plant. This plant is, out of all my plants, need the most water. So I'm constantly watering this plant. Let me check the bottom. The bottom's okay, but I'm constantly watering this plant. So this plant right here is another Pothos, and I love the pot. Isn't that pretty? And this plant is named Watessa, and I love this plant. It is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it only started off with a couple leaves. So I'm like, you go, Glen Coco, you go. All right, I gotta be careful to not get sticked, because one of these plants is just sticky AF. So remember when I talked about the baby aloes? This is their mama, and I call this one Mama. So this is Mama, my bigger aloe vera plant. It's the one with the spikes on it. I don't know what that one would be called specifically, but I have this stake in there for a reason, or it'll be just gangsta leaning and living, and nah, we're not having that. So this is another plant, and this is a baby rubber tree. I thought I was gonna kill it. It's still thriving. I really can't believe it, honestly. It's more mold, but we talked about what that is earlier. But I just cannot believe this plant, after all them years, is still thriving. If you're wondering what this is this yellow thing is what I use to collect gnats, or just like bugs that like to hang out and try to take over my plants. Not today, shawty. And this is Mama's babies. So I made 3 pots of or 3 new pots from the babies, and this is the second one. Another one I gave to a colleague. So this is another one, as you can see there. Definitely I want to put more soil in it, so I'll do that at a later date. Okay, I realized there are some plants I didn't tell you the name for, so I apologize. So this plant, I don't know what's happening. It is a snake plant, and this has not been doing well for years. So I don't know how to get it back, and you can see like it's just not doing well. And I've added new snake plants to it to kind of like be like, hey, we're friends, let's grow in peace. Yeah, I don't really know. And this is another aloe vera I have. I also didn't name this plant. This one is called Spidey. That's what I was getting like, because I have Snaky and Spidey. Spidey is no, hold on. I have Spikey and Spidey. Okay, so Spikey is one of my snake plants, and Spidey is my spider plants. It's my spider plant, I should say, singular. But this one doesn't have a name, and it's also another aloe vera. I just don't need you to judge me. I just really love Pothos, and they're just so easily to manage. So this is another Pothos that I got from Walmart because it needed to be saved. Was that something crawling I saw? Oh, okay. It needed to be saved, and I saved it. And look at it, thriving. And then this is another plant. I can't remember how to pronounce the plant's name, so I'm going to put it and describe the plant in the description box below. But I mean, come on. Ooh, child, yeah. I want to know your name. So I just really love this plant, and it's so beautiful. I can't wait to put it in my greenhouse. Can't wait to put it in my greenhouse. All right, y'all, I feel real bad about this plant and also the length of this video so far. So I have another bushfire crouton. I won't show you, I've already showed you what it is. And also another hanging pothos, and that is pretty much all the plants. I didn't know if I was gonna show y'all all the plants, but yeah, that's all the plants in my house. So this plant, I'm going to take some real time to take apart and then replant, because there's just something about this soil. I don't know, it's not really giving what it's supposed to give. Like, look at that. Does that look great to you? I'm gonna tell you, it's not giving what it's supposed to give over here, but look at the vines. Just divine. Beautiful. So I'm going to try to to get rid of that and try to figure out how to help this plant, because I don't know what happened. And this plant is called, it's a succulent. It's called String of Bananas. And I had a string of pearls and it went south too. So maybe I just don't take care of succulents well. And sometimes, you know, it takes time to really figure out how to care for each plant. So I'm just going to work on this. I also have about 15 plants in my office, but we're only talking about the plants at my house. So I just want to say thank you from Cora Lee to you. And I call this one Dripping. Cardi B, yes, came through dripping was the inspiration, and literally dripping in bananas. So that's what I call this one. Dripping, drip for short, D if I'm lazy. So I just want to thank you so much for entertaining me starting to talk about plants on my channel, and I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me know specific types of videos you want me to do in regards to plants, and I'll try to do it from, you know, the knowledge that I have. And also let me know if you like this video, if you also have a plant that I have that you're having problems with. I can try to give advice, or if you want to give me suggestions about the plants that I have, you know, I'm here. Give me the suggestions. Anyway, have a wonderful day and we'll talk soon. Bye.